Welcome to the Margin Business Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. In today's episode, we got a very special guest. Every guest is special, but now this is really special. So, Naima B Robert, she's an award-winning author, a book coach, and the founder of the Muslima Author Project. Award-winning author, and she wrote about 30 books so far. But before I start, it's telling her whole story. I think it's better that Naima, you present yourself, you tell us what you're doing, and how everything started. I mean, from the beginning, and then I'm trying to give you some questions that we're gonna walk our way through. How you did everything so far, and how you got there where you are today.
So, thank you so much. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation. I would say that most of my steps to where I am today were by mistake. They were missteps. I didn't ever intend to be a writer, for example. I thought writers were poor. I didn't want to be poor. So even though I really enjoyed writing when I was a teenager, becoming a writer was never a thing. So what actually happened was, after I became Muslim at the end of university, I got married and I had my first child. And I loved books. I've always loved books. And I used to take my baby to the library. And we used to take out 15 books at a time. We loved the library. And what I noticed was, there were, at the time, we're talking 2000 here, there were really hardly any books about Islam or Muslims. And the ones that were there were actually really dry and uninspiring and sometimes really badly written. And I didn't want that experience for my son. I didn't want him to, experience the so-called mainstream books, which, if you know anything about children's books, you know that it's a very evolved art form, right? And I didn't want him to have all these wonderful, almost transcendent experiences with these so-called mainstream books. And then when it came to reading about Islam, it was like the second best option or the poor man's option. So I really racked my brain and I thought, how can we change this? I don't want this experience for him. So I literally started writing then. And alhamdulillah, I was very blessed to have the support of my husband, and he really pushed me to send my work out to publishers. And I got a publisher very, very quickly who saw the potential in one of my stories, which was called The Swirling Hijab. And that was a very, very simple rhyming story about a little girl playing dress up, really, with her mother's hijab and it becoming all these imaginary things. And that was how it started, because once I wrote one book for them, they asked me for another one, and then it kind of snowballed from there. So alhamdulillah, to date, I've had almost 30 books published now. So children's, teen novels, and also nonfiction for adults. So that was kind of by mistake, but it was a very, very happy mistake. Obviously, everything is, by Allah's plan. But that's how the writing came about. With regards to the book coaching, which is what I do now, I had run Sisters Magazine for about 10 years. And by the time we finished up with Sisters Magazine, sort of online advertising was becoming a thing. Online content was becoming a thing. This was the time of blogging. If you remember, everybody was getting a blog and everybody was saying, you should have a blog. And I started getting interested in digital marketing because my late husband's company was also kind of moving in that direction. So when I took over the company after he passed, Allah yarhamu, we really wanted to explore this option. So we started learning from some of the kind of gurus out there, doing the conferences and the summits and, taking the courses to learn about email marketing, digital marketing, SEO and all of this. And it was when I came to the UK, after I had closed that business, that I decided that I was going to not just write my own books, but help other women like me to start writing. And so I did a course, a book, like a launching course, an online launching course. And I decided that I was going to do my first little program. And I followed all the steps, and it was amazing because it was my first experience of actually launching something online, building up my little email list, and making money online, and teaching a class that was great success, alhamdulillah. And then after that, I just said, okay, this is the direction that I want to go. I love online. I love what the online world has given us, especially as entrepreneurs. I find it such an exciting space. I've had so many amazing mentors and coaches. I've been in so many coaching programs, invested a ton of money, as you do. But now, on sort of 5 years later, which is how long our project has been running, I can look back and say, that was a huge leap in terms of knowledge, in terms of skills, in terms of connections and networks. And so, alhamdulillah, now we have 2 flagship programs. We did a lot of things along the way. We did the memberships, we did the online courses, we did the workshops, we did the webinars, we did all of that. And now we have 2 flagship programs. One is a 90-day book program, which is for nonfiction authors, and the other is a children's book program where we help you to write your children's book in 5 days, and then we walk you through the process of publishing the book. And those 2 are our most successful programs. We are blessed to have been involved in dozens and dozens of books now out there in the world. We're coming up to 50, I think. No, we've passed 50. So it's a great place to be, alhamdulillah, and we just want to keep doing that for the next 20 years. Because what I decided, inshallah, was that I've had, I would say moderate success with my books. I came into the industry before the diversity and equality and inclusion and representation. So I was before all of that. And I was very fortunate to have publishers who believed in my stories and believed in my work. And so I feel like I would like to continue writing, and my goal is to die with 50 books. No, not 50, 100 books under my belt, bi'idhnillah. But now it's time for me to pay it forward, because I can't write every book. I can't address every topic. I can't talk about every challenge, but I can coach people to do that. So it's kind of my sneaky way of getting like the reward for all of this, this development in the industry, by just being behind everybody and pushing them forward and saying, go, go, go. And then inshallah, whatever reward is at the end of it, I hope, will be in my scales as well.
Wow. That's an amazing story already. It's great to hear that. And I must say, let's start from the beginning. I must say that it's kind of true what you're saying, and maybe I didn't realize it when I was small, but I realized it when my children were growing up. There was not too many books. When we talk about 2010, 2009, there were a lot of books came out of Malaysia. When we were living there, we bought quite a lot. So it was there was a beginning. But if you talk about like going into the library when I was growing up or something, it's completely true. There was nothing. Even German literature anyway, there was almost nothing. So growing up, I understand. I mean, the UK was always a little bit further than any other country in the European Union, because the communities and everything was more stable, and there was more things going on. And I wouldn't say that there was maybe more foreigners or more Muslims in the UK, because I don't think like if you look at the percentage in the European Union, it's about the same, or something. I don't know the exact numbers, but from what I know, so for me, definitely it's amazing what you have done so far. And the book industry in general is right what you're saying as well. It's looked upon like, if somebody has no clue about it, it was like, being an author, I don't know if it's good or something. But recently what I've seen the tendencies is that we get approached a lot by people who want to write books for us, like the head of companies or entrepreneurs. We get approached like, here 15,000, and then we write your book. Like sneaky emails like this. And this as well, I don't think it's very good. When somebody approach you on this way. I think what you're doing, like you said, okay, I wrote myself 30 books. Okay, maybe not yourself, but you know what I mean, like with help with publishers or something of that kind. But
no, I wrote them myself. No,
you see, even
I
better.
wrote them myself. They're not,
Okay,
they're published by publishers, but I did write
exactly.
them myself.
Wow,
No
no
ghostwriter.
ghostwriter, no anything.
No
Wow,
ghostwriters.
subhanallah. So you see what I mean? That's even more. So you can say, okay, I wrote the 30 books and I know how it works. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, what else do anyone want when they want to write a book themselves? So they have already you done the way. You showed them how to do it, and you can guide them through. And this is what I'm always saying as well in entrepreneurship, you know. And that's why I'm doing these podcasts as well, because this is for people who are standing in the beginning or who's standing at the end already and saying, I want to do more, or I want to begin and I don't know how to do it, you know.
Yeah.
And it's not that you have to reinvent the wheel. You can just go like to Naima, for example, ask her, how can I write a book? Or go to X, how can I run the company, you know. And this is the beauty of the internet today, or of the digital business. And that's why digital business is so important, because we can do this from home. You can do this from your home. You know, we can spread out the message anywhere in the world.
Yeah,
exactly,
you
know. And we have resources right now, and we just need to go to these resources. No matter what you want to do, you can do that. And this is the beauty of the thing, you know. And that's why I really appreciate what you are doing and what you are what you're mostly known for. So maybe we go a little bit before. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself. So where you from? Because I know you have a UK accent, but I think there is more. I know there's more to it than just the accent. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
There's always more to it than the accent. Okay, so my parents are South African. My father is descendant from Scottish Highlanders, and my mother from the Zulu people.
Real Highlanders.
Yes, from Scotland.
Wow, you know, it's my favorite topic. I'm sorry. You know,
okay,
with the movie and stuff, you know, and I really love it. You know?
Our family, the McLarens, no, the McLarens are originally Highlanders. So anyway, so his grandfather went to South Africa. And so his mother grew up there, and he was born there. So they met and they got together there. Obviously, they couldn't marry because this is during apartheid. It was illegal for a Black woman and a white man to be together. So that's how I ended up being born in England, because they left and they went to the UK, and they actually sought asylum there. Born in the UK, then lived there for a few years. Then we went to Ethiopia, where my father was teaching at the university. And then we came to Zimbabwe, which is where I am now. And this is where I grew up.
Beautiful.
So I grew up in Zimbabwe, did all my schooling here up to 18. And my time here, especially in high school, was a period of enormous growth for me. In terms of my presence, I want to say, because I was a public speaker, I was an actress, you know, I was that girl. And I wasn't Muslim at this time, I wasn't any religion. But I developed a lot of confidence because of my school experiences. Alhamdulillah, I became the head girl at the end of the final year. And, you know, it was a glorious time. Fast forward, I went to the UK for university. And that's when I found out about Islam, and I ended up, alhamdulillah, accepting Islam after going to a music festival in Egypt. That's another story for another day. But what's interesting, I think, is I became Muslim. I started wearing the hijab, etc. I got married, and after marriage, I decided to wear the niqab, which is the face veil, which you see me wearing now. And everybody thought it was over for me. Because the stereotype is, you know, bubbly Western girl becomes Muslim, gets married, and we never see her again. And, you know, I know that my father in particular mourned my potential, because he thought that I was born to be a star. And now that I'd become Muslim, well, that's the end of that. And I think I also believed that for a while. I just thought, you know, I'm not interested in any of that. I've got my husband, I've got my baby, I've got my life, and I'm living that life. And, you know, I don't really care about anything else. But when this situation that I described about the books in the library became something that was on my mind, it's like I refound that confidence. I had to find that confidence again to say, I'm not just going to accept this situation. I want to do something about this. I want to be part of the change that I want to see. And I want to do it authentically. I want to do it as myself. And so as a result of that, I was the first in a lot of things, because I was the first, this one in niqab and children's author and on TV and on this and on that, because of course I went on to write From My Sister's Lips, which was my memoir about coming to Islam and everything like that. But I think the point is this: through all of those coaching programs, I was almost always the only niqabi in the room, okay? The only niqabi doing this, doing that, whatever the case may be, right? And what I want to say to people, and I'm sure if your audience is CEOs, etc., they don't really need to hear this, but there may be somebody who does need to hear this. What you may perceive as your weakness can sometimes be your ultimate strength. And the ultimate strength that I have found to carry me through these years of authorship and entrepreneurship and sort of game-changing and trailblazing is to own who you are, to own it fully, and to not make apologies for it. Because as I said, that thing that people may think, oh, you're disadvantaged because of A, B, C, D. If you don't perceive it as a disadvantage, if you own it, and if you embody the best of what that is, you will find that it's actually an advantage. It's actually something that makes you stand out. It's actually something that gives you a unique perspective, a unique voice, a unique way of making an impact. And that's what I tell all my clients. Every one of us has something unique that is valuable to people out there. Now, it could be valuable to 10 people, to 100, 1,000, 1,000,000. We don't know. But for sure, there are people out there who need to hear what you have to say. And that's obviously why they come and they write their books with us, because we help them to embody that, to own who they are and own the value of what they have to share. Once you do that, once you win the battle in the mind, everything else is just step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. But it's the battle in the mind. It's believing that you have something to offer, that you have something worthy to say, that you are worth listening to. That's the first and most important battle. Once you win that, it's smooth sailing after that. Lots of work, but smooth sailing.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing. And how you describe it as well, because when I'm sure you didn't wake up and say, I want to be an author, so just because, of what you just were saying. So how do you become that author? I mean, do you like, you had your business before, and suddenly you wake up and say, I want to be an author, or how does it come? I mean, I know about the story that you didn't find the books and everything, but that you yourself like write this children book or this guidance book. How did it come to that?
Again, it's literally believing I could write something. I could do that. I could do something better than that. If you've read a book before, I don't know how much your audience are into, especially children's books, but I know I've read a children's book and been like, oh, I could have done this, or I could have written this. So for me personally, I would say, I did put in the work beforehand, because I wrote a lot of terrible stories initially. I have a whole notebook full of them, where I was just trying to find my voice, just trying to find my style, trying to find my message in a way. And so a lot of really, really poor stories written. And then once I started to find my style and get into my groove, I started to write things that I really liked. And I was like, no, this could be something. And then those are the pieces that I ended up sending out. Now, this is 2002, 2001. Things don't necessarily work like that nowadays, but I was very fortunate to, in that first round of sending to publishers, one publisher got back to me and said, we love it and we want to do it. And everyone has a different version of this story. But obviously, from once a publisher says, we want to publish your book, well, you're going to be a published author, right? And then sure. it's on and popping. But nowadays, we don't really have to wait for publishers to gatekeep, right? And most of my clients end up self-publishing their children's books, right? And it really is
Amazon, like I said, there's Amazon. It's
Exactly. There's many services now. And really for all of them, they come in really not sure, could I be an author? Because you mentioned something earlier about the perception that we have. I think what I find with my clients, a lot of them, is that they believe that writing a book is for other people, for people who have master's degrees, for people
Exactly.
who have tons of money, for people who did creative writing retreats in Spain, whatever the case may be. They just don't think it's for people like them. So a lot of the work that we do when we do our workshops and our 5-day challenges, etc., is working on that, again, belief, being able to see what's possible, being able to see that it's not for other people, it's for whoever wants it. It's for whoever has the belief. I mean, we've all read bad books before, and trust me, Amazon's full of them, okay?
Yes,
Amazon is full of overconfident people who wrote a really bad book and put it on KDP, right? We don't want to be those people. But the point is, once you believe you have something to say, and I believe that almost everyone who's listening to this podcast has something to say, whether it's in business or in life or in personal development or in food, whatever the case may be, I believe everyone has something to say. Once you embody that, you make a decision. And the decision has to be that what I have to share is valuable. It's part of the impact that I want to have in the world. And it's part of the legacy that I want to leave behind. And as such, this is a non-negotiable. It's not a wish list thing. It's not a nice to have. It's not a hobby. It's a non-negotiable. And the reason I say, especially people who are in entrepreneurship, in NGOs, in companies where they're doing things differently, what I always say to them is, there will never be a clearer and purer way of sharing who you are and what you stand for than in a book. Never. It doesn't matter how many employee trainings you do. It doesn't matter how many YouTube videos you shoot, how many shorts you create, how many TikToks you make, how many blogs you write even. None of those will be the distillation of who you are, your essence, your message, your methodology, whatever it is that you have to share. None of them will do it justice better than a book. So I actually think that everybody who has managed to achieve something extraordinary, achieving something ordinary that many, many people want to achieve, you owe it to yourself and to this win to document it. Put it in a book.
Definitely.
Put it out there. Because we don't know how many people out there are scratching their heads right now saying, how can I do this? How can I do that? And you
almost everyone.
Right, exactly. So
yeah, definitely. So with all of these book things, I mean, what you're writing, to be an award-winning author, you have achieved a lot in these in very short time frame. What do you think the next 5 years will give?
I love this question. I would like our company to be the catalyst behind 1,000 books out there. And I work primarily with Muslim women. That's just my niche. And I love serving that niche because these are women who are driven by heart and driven with intention. And I love to work with women like that. I mean, right now I'm reading, I think on Monday, I had a client who created a journal for women who are in polygamy. So I read that and edited that, sent it off to her. The next day, I had a client who had finished her book, so she sent it in for editorial critique. One is writing about having escaped the war in Sudan, so that's a memoir that she's written. And all of these amazing books are coming through. The other one is talking about how Islam or faith in general can be a catalyst for human growth and potential. So I read that and gave her critique.
So you're reading a lot.
I am reading a lot these days because they're finishing, you see, which is wonderful to see. They are completing their drafts, and that is a huge deal because out of all the people who want to write, the statistic is that only 3% will finish. That's huge. So we've got more than 3% of our people coming back and saying, I finished my draft, I want to get your feedback, I'm over the moon. But my point is, of those types of women, over 1,000. And I want us to be behind them, supporting them, giving them what they need, whether it's accountability, information, training, networking opportunities. I would just like to be that behind the scenes guru, behind all of these, authors that you see popping up here, popping up there, winning awards, writing a new series, their book being made into a film, their book, topping the bestseller list. I'd like to be us to be behind the scenes and be able to say, yeah, that's one of ours. That's one of ours. That's one of ours. And inshallah, just hope that all of that, all those blessings come for us, and that we're able to make a real difference in the industry.
I mean, from what I see, you are on the way there. It's how you move things, what is going on, and your company, everything. You are on the right way to go there. I have one last question. Your book, your favorite book, for example. Can you give us a favorite, maybe children book?
Of my own, or of any book out there?
Out there. Anything out there.
I'll tell you which one it is. Most people probably haven't heard of it, but it's called The Silver Swan, and it is by Michael Morpurgo, who is one of my favorite children's authors, and it's illustrated by Christian Birmingham. Okay. And it is just one of the most poignant stories, children's stories, that I've ever read. It is so heartwarming and heart-wrenching, and the illustrations are I can't, it's not gorgeous. Gorgeous is not the word. They're so special. So that is actually my favorite children's book, and I can read that one again and again and again. Okay. Now you can go Google it and see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I will definitely, because I'll be honest, I don't know it. I don't know it. I obviously I know a lot of children's books because my kids, they read a lot, and I'm keep buying for them. And what is more beautiful than buying books? The good books for them so they can read. And if they like to read, you cannot say no to a kid who wants to read. It's not like they want. It's not they want to have their screen time. It's completely different. So yeah, that's why I'm asking you, actually, and as well because you're out there. You read a lot. You've wrote yourself, so your advice from you is very valuable. Thank you so much.
Well, I will give you my top 10 if you like, and you can put them in the show notes, because there are so many books out there, but that one is my personal favorite. But there are so many that are just amazing.
Okay, great. So Naima, where can anyone who's interested in working with you, maybe, or to have questions, because I know in the audience at least there is 2-3 who already wrote a book, and
wonderful.
who and there is definitely, I don't know, maybe 60-70% who want to write a book. So just let me know, how can anyone get in contact?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn, Naima B Robert. I'm also on Instagram at Naima B Robert. Our new website will be launching at the end of this month, which is muslimaauthor.com. And that's got all our client stories and videos and beautiful books that we've published, as well as more information about how we work. But sending me a DM sounds good. Sending me a message on LinkedIn. I'd love to hear from everybody and just hear what they took from the podcast and get to know them and their story.
Great. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you, and really it's great information, and I wish you much success, inshallah, with your company, that you make it to the 100 books and even more. Allahu alam. Thank you so much, Naima.
Thank you very much.